is the former U.S. ambassador to South Africa.
Why are you not being
missing
at the border?
And to his
40% of the
right,
children that have come in unaccompanied are now missing from the
Jennifer
border.
Jones Austin.
Kids are being sedated at the U.S. border.
Jamal
Why are you not being a
Bryant
voice for the children?
From Atlanta, Georgia, New Birth Baptist Church, Reverend Freddie Hayes.
Why are you stoking racism where it doesn't exist? Why are you trying to come and provoke violence? Why are you here advocating for violence? Why are you here advocating for violence?
All right, guys, so as you can see there, that is OG race hustler Al Sharpton, right at the border looking for racism, okay? Looking for racism. As he said, he went down there to see why Haitian migrants are being treated differently than other migrants that are coming in this country, right? For whatever reason, he thinks that these Haitian migrants are being treated more poorly than those kids wrapped in aluminum foil in cages that we've been talking about this whole year and that the left has been ignoring this whole year. But all of a sudden, because, you know, these Haitians apparently are black people now, right? They're black, according to these people. The Democrats now all of a sudden care, right? They care. BLM has showed up to the border, right? I mean, literally, BLM allegedly may show up to the border, as there's a report here from the Washington Examiner that the White House ordered federal authorities to clear out the bridge by Friday evening ahead of BLM protests, okay? So let's get this straight, guys. The White House is essentially trying to clear out the rest of the Haitians from under the bridge because allegedly BLM is planning on protesting at the border, right? This is the timeline that we live in, guys. We now have BLM protesting at the border over Biden's border crisis. And Biden's response to rumors of BLM showing up at the border, in my opinion, really tells you how the Democrat Party is scared ishless over the beast that they created last year, and how, from an optical standpoint, if BLM goes down there and they make a big scene over what's going on with Haitians at the border, right? You already have BLM in New York basically threatening, you know, de Blasio over these vaccine mandates that, again, Biden has pushed for. It seems like Biden could have another crisis on his hands, right? It seems like the Biden administration could be facing some of the same protests and riots that happened under Trump. Again, the Democrats set themselves up for this, and eventually it was going to happen, right? This is what happens when you lay in bed with extremists. But let's read about what's going on here, guys, because this right here, guys, is incredible. The Biden administration has set a deadline of Friday night to clear out the Haitian migrant camp that has caused major headaches for the White House, sources told the Washington Examiner. Two senior officials within the Department of Homeland Security said the camp underneath the Del Rio Acuna International Bridge is creating bad optics and drawing renewed scrutiny to the administration's inability to curb illegal immigration. At one point, more than 15,000 were in the camp, though the number had dwindled to less than a third of that by Thursday. Quote, they want those people out from under the bridge so that they can't be seen anymore, the first official said. Quote, it's an optics thing. They are moving them around for process and release. They're going to have everyone at the bridge gone in the next 2 days. As of Thursday morning, fewer than 4,000 non-citizens remained under the bridge. Roughly 3,000 to 5,000 of the 15,000 have been deported or are expected to be expelled. The remaining 10,000 to 12,000 will be released into the country and permitted to travel nationwide, according to top officials at different DHS agencies that handle border and immigration matters. Okay, so this makes sense, okay, because we've been getting conflicting information about what is Biden's policy exactly when it comes to these Haitian migrants. Now, initially, the reports was that Biden is shipping all these people out, right? He's deporting everybody. That was the initial report. However, as time started to move on, there were reports that actually thousands of these Haitians were being released into the country, right? Now, again, some were being deported under Title 42, which is a Trump-era policy that Biden has been using to deport illegal immigrants seeking asylum, right? He's been using that, and the progressives have went after him for that, right? But at the same time, it seems like in some cases, he's just kind of let people in. Okay. And this seems to be one of those cases. So it looks like, when it comes to these Haitians, Biden's just kind of like, we've deported enough of these people. Now we're just going to let the rest of them in. That's literally what's happening. The sudden push to get everyone out of the squalid living conditions is only happening now following orders from the West Wing. Federal authorities learned this week of a Black Lives Matter protest scheduled to take place near the bridge this weekend and moved quickly to avoid a more chaotic scene. Ding, 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 ding. Right? Ding, ding, ding. Let's read a little bit more here. Quote, they don't want them all riled up at the time of the protest, the official said, adding that most are being sent to San Antonio, a 2.5-hour drive from Del Rio. A second person who also shared operational information on the condition of anonymity wrote in an email Thursday that the White House wants all clear out by Friday evening. Okay, so there was rumors, right, that BLM was going to show up to the border, right, in protest. Okay, you already had Al Sharpton. He was out there. You had Maxine Waters, out there in Washington talking about how this is worse than slavery in response to the fake news that Border Patrol agents were whipping migrant Haitians, which again was a lie. And in response to that, the Biden administration decided to ban the use of horses at the border, right? As if the horses were causing the Haitians any harm or that was actually a problem. It's really silly stuff. But as you can see, guys, a lot of this stuff has been done for optics, right? Because Biden doesn't want to be seen as racist. The Democrats don't want to be seen as racist. So now that there's a threat of BLM showing up at the border, right now that all the race hustlers have come out against Biden, now all of a sudden Biden's like, you know what? We got to kind of let these people into the country, right? We just going to clear all these people out from under the bridge. We don't really care about trying to deport them anymore. Let's just release them into the country. That way we don't have to deal with BLM, right? And this is what I try to tell you guys about how powerful BLM is, okay? And this is why I explained in my video about, BLM and, the mask mandates in New York about how the Democrat Party knows that BLM is a beast that they don't want to reckon with, right? They don't want to reckon with what happened under Trump, okay? If BLM explodes under Biden, that is the absolute last thing that they want. That is the absolute last thing that they want. And these vaccine mandates and this Haitian immigrant crisis really has gave BLM a reason to come back to life. Remember, Democrats haven't fulfilled any of the promises that they made to BLM. They haven't done anything at all. Nothing. So a lot of people are sitting here like, what has Biden done for us? Right? Is Biden any different from Trump at this point? So now that people realize this, right, they're back now to protest the Biden administration. And this is the Democrats' worst nightmare. Trust me, it's their worst nightmare. This is why Biden moved to release all those Haitian migrants into the country. Which in my opinion makes sense for why he was like, we got to clear these people from under the bridge. We got to get these people from under here. Okay? Before BLM show up, right? That ain't going to look good. And they're right. It would look terrible for BLM to start protesting and rioting across the country under the Biden administration, because they told us all last year that it was Trump. Trump was the reason why BLM is protesting. Okay? All the so-called racism in this country is Trump's fault. But obviously that's not the case, because look at the alleged racism that's happening under Biden. Quote, most will be at other holding facilities in other sectors. They're basically just moving the bridge to other areas. It's all about the optics, the second official wrote. It's getting hard to move them because they're getting aggressive. Border Patrol agents are interviewing and providing release documents to migrants at a rate of 15 minutes per person. Most of the migrants being moved to San Antonio will be released onto the street. Releases into the community have been unfolding for months, community members told the Washington Examiner in a series of interviews this week. Oh, man, pray for those people in Texas. I'm serious. That's living in those border towns, right? How you got this administration just flat out releasing illegal immigrants into their cities, okay, with no real obligation to come back to the immigration processing facilities. All women who claim to be pregnant will be released and will be asked to complete a pregnancy test to verify their claims, the first official said. Once they have their babies in the U.S., we can't remove them because we can't deport U.S. citizens. We can't deport the sole parent, the first official said. Deportations are limited Immigration and Customs Enforcement oversees deportation flights, and its 737 jets can hold approximately 180 detainees per flight. The Biden administration has attempted 1 to 3 flights daily, with some not taking off due to assaults from passengers against the federal officers on board. So, yeah, these Haitian migrants are violent, right? They're also violent as well, which is causing problems. Man, I bet if the Democrats could go back and redo their campaign in 2020, they probably would think twice before telling people to just come to this country, right? Illegally. From San Antonio and other nearby regions across the southern border, the Biden administration will release thousands of migrants. Approximately 2/3 of people who live under the bridge will not be removed from the country, the first official said. Those released will not be given notices to appear, which are documents stating they must appear in immigration court down the road when a judge will decide an asylum claim if they have made one, or decide how to respond to their illegal entry at the border. Instead, migrants are being pushed out the door of Border Patrol stations and processing centers with notices to report, which instruct them to self-report to an ICE office in coming weeks after they arrive at their final destination nationwide. There is no legal requirement to show up, and changes that President Joe Biden made to immigration policy earlier this year forbid ICE officers from going into the community and arresting people who are not a significant public safety threat. Yeah, so basically, once they're released, there's no legal obligation for them to show back up for processing or deportation. Therefore, they can just stay. That's literally what it is, right? Because ICE isn't going to go after them, so it is what it is. The first official said the challenge for Border Patrol agents who take custody of illegal immigrants and book them into the system is that virtually none have identification documents. In addition, those who receive letters that state they should report to ICE down the road will not be a priority for deportation if they fail to show. ICE also will not know where they went after departing the border. Over the past week, Del Rio was inundated with Haitian migrants swarming across the Rio Grande in droves. The majority have lived and worked for years as residents of Chile, the wealthiest South American country. All right. So, yeah. Hey, it seems to me that the Biden administration has essentially folded on deporting all these Haitian migrants, right? Partly because of, logistics and the fact that they're getting violent, right? Which poses a problem. And also because of optics, right? They would rather just release them into the country than to continue to have them stay under that bridge, to have the media there, to have people like Al Sharpton show up, to have people like BLM show up. So at this point, Biden just decided to completely fold to the race hustlers and the woke pressure. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.